is gradually being implemented with the deployment of off-grid solar-powered systems to communities. Joshua Ojito takes a look at federal government interventions to bridge the gap in electricity deficit.
Nigeria, Africa's largest economy, grappling with poor electricity supply, with micro, small and medium enterprises bearing the brunt. Now, the country is going green by adopting renewable energy solutions to power communities. Records show that under the Nigeria Electrification Project, which Rural Electrification Agency is implementing, 221,971 solar home systems were installed in households, micro, small and medium enterprises, as well as public facilities, with additional 7 hybrid mini-grids deployed to unserved and underserved communities.
We're enjoying the solar past NEPA lights. The solar used to carry TV, fan, and bulbs. I have washing machine. As soon as there's sun now, I can use it to carry the machine.
More universities and markets across the country benefited from the federal government energizing education and economy interventions with additional solar mini-grids for 86 communities, as well as solar hybrid solutions to power 100 isolation and treatment centers being implemented.
About 40% of Nigerians do not have access to electricity, but renewable is closing that now.
We want to achieve 30 gigawatts by the year 2030, and with the 30% renewable energy, so as Nigerian will get supply of electricity 24/7.
Solar Niger project is another initiative as federal government targets 5 million homes to be energized. In Abuja, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
Nigeria is endowed with almost all the resources needed to stand tall in the renewable energy world. But how is the country exploring these opportunities in boosting its power generation capacity? Justin Bemoni reports.
With Nigeria's massive endowment with oil, gas, hydro and solar resources, facts from relevant authorities have shown that the country has the potential to generate 12,522 megawatts of electric power from existing plants. However, records indicate on most days it is only able to dispatch around 4,000 megawatts, which is insufficient for a country of over 200 million people. Consequently, professionals have advocated harnessing opportunities of renewable energy, as it is really great to see governments all over the world including green sources of energy in their mix.
For a stable energy supply in any country all over the world, there should be what we call energy basket. In the energy basket, you allow the energy producing areas to be able to complement each other. Solar energy is high when it is dry season, when the sunshine is shining brighter.
60% of the country's population has no access to electricity, according to Nigeria's Infrastructural Concession Regulatory Commission. This is a challenge experts in the industry said can be checked to a large extent by exploring the alternative energy sources inherent in the vast opportunities the country has with natural resources. One of such hugely untapped energy source in the country is nuclear, and the authorities say it is an area that needs government support and influence. And for the industry to grow, opinions from experts suggest that both practitioners and government need to absorb lessons on correct adoption, servicing, installation, and efficiency in new technologies. Justin Bemuni, NTA News.
The Energy Research Center Usmanu Danfodio University, Sokoto, was established in 1982 by the federal government as part of efforts to boost and promote the use of alternative and renewable sources of energy. In this report, Dalhatu Abdullahi takes a look at the achievements and challenges of the Energy Research Center.
The Sokoto Energy Research Center, Usman Danfodio University, is one of the pioneer centers created by the federal government and mandated to conduct research and development in renewable energy. The Energy Research Center, in collaboration with Step B project, had in 2012 provided a 10 kilowatts solar photovoltaic power system and a 4-kilometer wind electricity turbine for the energy needs of Danjawa village in Wamako local government area of Sokoto State. The center has over the years developed solar street lights, home systems for lighting, and 2 megawatts solar powered plant for use by the university and other appliances using renewable energy.
Recently, we are in collaboration with Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, which we have applied to ARENA to establish 30 megawatt wind power in Sokoto, in collaboration with Sokoto State Government.
But the challenges of the center remains availability of raw materials and funding to conduct research.
Maintenance culture is very, very important, and the government should put this a certain regular maintenance and then certain percentage for the sustainability of the systems.
Apart from solar and wind energy, the center is working and making research on solar thermal, biomass, small hydro and energy efficiency, in addition to training of graduates and individuals interested in acquiring knowledge in solar photovoltaic installation and how best to use renewable energy. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
We'll be joined in the studio by our guest tonight, the Managing Director, Rural Electrification Agency, Ahmed Salihijo. You're welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you very much.
Let's start with what the agency has so far achieved through solar-powered interventions. I would want to mention just the universities. Let's put it out holistically.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think this program is very timely, where we highlight alternative sources of energy, especially renewable energy. What we've been doing at the REA has been centering around providing power through renewable sources, especially solar mini-grids, solar home systems for communities that are unserved and underserved within the country. And we've done that through various channels of funding, some through the federal government funding, some through private sector financing, through our programs such as the Rural Electrification Fund, the Nigerian Electricity Program, and also some funding that is coming through the World Bank and the Africa Development Bank. I think one good achievement that we have done, despite the delivery of these projects, as you've mentioned, across infrastructure in universities, hospitals, and various communities, is we've been able to at least work with private sector developers, where government provides the enabling environment for the private sector to come in and make the necessary investments. And I think given the numbers that you have mentioned earlier during the program, you'd see that it's very clear that we are unable to cover that gap of 40% or almost 80 million Nigerians that do not have power only through government funding. So it's very important to have an environment where the private sector will come in, given their own funding mechanism and the expertise, to see how we can stimulate and grow that particular market.
Well, by its name, Rural Electrification Agency, one would believe it's mainly at the hinterlands and remote areas. That's so that they can also benefit from electricity or power supply. Yeah. So let's look at this recently launched Solar Power Niger project. How is it going?
It's been going very well. Of course, every program you put out there, it takes a bit of time for the various stakeholders to fully understand the program and continue to benefit from it. But so far we've partnered with the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, for instance, where they have guaranteed a transaction of 7 billion naira for 100,000 units that was launched a few months ago by His Excellency the Vice President in Jigawa State. So the program aims to power or take power power for 5 million connections for 225 million people, and we look to create at least 250,000 jobs from that. One good thing with that program is that it's one of those programs that I mentioned to you that is meant to stimulate private sector participation. So today, government has brought in that funding from the Economic Sustainability Plan, where the private sector is partnering with various government agencies, as I mentioned, the NDPHC, and also state governments are also coming into that particular space where, we are identifying areas within the country that are unserved, and private sector is coming in and commercially driving the deployment of solar home systems within the country.
All right, health care delivery is very paramount to any government, especially at the rural areas. So, how is your project or the agency, making impact along that axis? I mean, talking about health care delivery at rural areas and then the solar energy.
So with healthcare, I think we were sort of forced in the corner last year when the pandemic started. If you recall, His Excellency, the President mentioned, government agencies coming to the help of the country in terms of how we can ensure that we provide the necessary support, especially for our frontline colleagues who were unfortunate enough to be handling this pandemic. And our ministry, the Federal Ministry of Power, also indicated that it's important for its agencies to provide, within its own mandate, some of these energy alternate solutions for hospitals. So within the start of the pandemic, we were able to power 4 isolation centers, one here in Abuja as part of the teaching hospital in Gwagwalada, and also two isolation centers in Lagos and one in Ogun State. And it was really, really impactful because we realized that there's a nexus between power provision, clean, reliable power with services that you provide at hospitals, especially when you think about powering, some very critical equipment like ventilators and some of the equipment that you cannot afford for them not to have power for even a few minutes, because life is very, very important. But one good thing we saw with that is that intervention actually stimulated other international development partners to also come in and show support here. So as I speak to you, the World Bank has committed to providing 50 kilowatt peak systems for 100 more centers nationwide. One good thing with that is that we have been able to identify those healthcare facilities that are quite large and that also continue to provide healthcare services even hopefully beyond COVID. And in addition to that, they have also committed to doing 400 primary healthcare centers and another 200 that are also currently being implemented through the federal government's budget. So as you can see, there has been a vast intervention within the healthcare systems, and what has become very, very clear is that there is a need to have reliable energy throughout our healthcare facilities.
Especially at the rural areas.
Absolutely.
Now that vaccines are coming, they will also need to be stored in very cold devices, and most of them will be taken to the rural areas. So in that regard, what is going on with you and that let me say project?
Yeah, so I mean, that's one of those are one of the things with the cooling systems that is very, very critical, because some of them need to be stored at very low temperatures.
Exactly.
So what we are deliberately doing now is powering those healthcare facilities with clean, reliable power, and what we hope to do is hand them over as well to continue the program around private sector financing and to ensure that the private sector continues to operate and maintain them within the confines of that particular community. So yes, the alternate power solution we are providing would give us support, and we're also doing a bit of work in identifying exactly where these primary healthcare centers are, especially the ones that are currently storing some of these vaccines as you speak to.
All right, let's pause on the discussion for a while as we now go on another break on Weekend File. Do stay with us.
Big day ahead.
Full of nourishment and vitality. Bodies and Ovaltine 3 in 1.
New Ovaltine 3 in 1. Smart choice for smart kids.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. See, finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly. Until one day, James discovered something big. He can finally say, our home, our football.
Get GoTV plus 1 month max subscription for only 6,900 naira. You fit enjoy the Bunga football leagues where day, plus better cup competitions this football season. GoTV, love it.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth Entrepreneurship Support Years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
As Nigeria diversifies its agricultural resources as alternative to crude oil, next week, Tuesday Live shall focus on the National Agricultural Lands Development Authority, NALDA, for food sufficiency and national security. Tuesday Live, every week at 10:30 p.m. It promises to be incisive and educative. Don't miss it.
Welcome back. Some educational communities in Edo, Delta and Ekiti states are beginning to key into the alternative energy invention as their main source of power generation. Obehi Ottawa Presai reports that the alternative energy projects, which are mainly solar-powered, are helping to boost socio-economic activities.
Ikoho, Igwoge, and Uhogwa communities are some of the rural areas in Edo State that are yet to be connected to the national grid. Their livelihood depends solely on alternative energy. This 100 kVA hybrid grid in Ukoha is a federal government rural electrification project.
Thank God the light is functioning. The light is a development to the nation and this community.
Now it's better off than that of the olden time when there was no light.
While the solar project sited within the IDP camp in Uhogwa helps to provide water for the over 4,000 IDPs and other members of the community.
With this one now, they can have water with ease using the sun.
If the government is able to site 2 of these, in addition to this, in this center, it will benefit both the IDPs and even the community around.
From the suburbs in Asaba, Austin Edemodo reports that experts are advocating in support of renewable energy facilities to boost small and medium-scale businesses.
You look at the food processing, food storage, all these are
businesses that could be set up in rural environments, and with just a little energy that can be transmitted from the sun, those businesses run very smoothly.
Why Ayodeji Ogunshaki reports that small business owners in Ekiti, like Ekeke Ejename, are opting for alternative energy due to epileptic power. The consensus is that renewable energy is the panacea to bridge the electricity gap in Nigeria. In Benin, Obehio Toba Presai, NTA News.
The first ever 10 megawatts wind farm project in Nigeria is located at Lambar Rimi in Katsina State. Dawuda Mohammed in this report gives us an update on the state of the project.
10 megawatts Katsina wind farm project, which was initiated 16 years ago, consists of 37 wind turbines, each expected to generate 275 kilowatts power. Presently, only 31 out of the 37 wind turbines have been installed, with corresponding accessories supplying 8.25 megawatts of electricity and awaiting inauguration. Sirajo Abubakar, a metal fabricator and repairer in Katsina, is one among several small and medium enterprises owners that depend on electricity to earn a living. Sirajo Abubakar, though unaware of the Lambarimi wind turbine project, attests that power supply has presently improved.
Up to now, Katsina people are waiting for the commissioning of the project.
Recently, we have seen improvement in electricity supply, and we want it to be sustained. This power project in Rimi, when fully operational, will definitely change the narrative of business activities in Katsina State, because we will all benefit.
10 megawatts is big enough. We are all celebrating, but I don't know why it is taking this long.
While the Katsina wind turbine project has not fully taken off, the consensus is that when fully operational, the multiplier effect on the economy of the state will significantly reduce the high rate of unemployment. In Katsina, Dawuda Mohammed, NTA News.
Let's return to our conversation with Ahmad Salihijo, Managing Director, Rural Electrification Agency. Now, those two reports we saw harped on the impact of your agency and others alike on schools, particularly tertiary institutions, as well as agriculture. Now, how is that?
And I was happy earlier on in your report when I saw the Usman Dan Fodio University in Sokoto, because that was one of the interventions that was done by the Ministry of Power through the REA for providing electricity to tertiary institutions. So for the phase one of that project, we have been able to complete 5 of them. We have a total of 9 universities on the phase one and 1 teaching hospital, and they are nearly all completed now. And then again, as we saw in the other interventions, the development partners have also stepped in as part of the Nigerian Electrification Project, and then we're doing a phase 2 under the World Bank, which carries 8 universities, and we're doing another phase 3, which is carrying about 7 universities through the African Development Bank. And then we had an approval initially for 37 universities. We've been able to do 24, and then right now we have another extra 13 that we look to continue to fund through this particular intervention. For agriculture, I think one critical thing that you find is that all the programs we also try to do, we try to emphasize on the productive use of the solar energy that we take to those communities. So we don't only look at providing electricity, but we also look at how does that electricity enhance the livelihood of our rural dwellers. And the good thing is that the solar technology is now improving, and we have bigger systems that are able to support, as you mentioned in your reports, micro and small businesses, and we're able to support them in that vein where the power that you are taking to them is actually helping them and is actually enhancing their economic status.
Okay, let's look at the sustainability of these projects, going forward.
So with sustainability, because the projects are being delivered through various means of funding, I think the sustainability is mainly for the projects that are currently being financed through government. So even with the universities, as we mentioned earlier, we have gone through a whole sustainability plan now with the universities where they are able to continue operating and maintaining those solar power plants that we have built for them. And in addition to that, with projects that we have delivered on behalf of communities, we usually form a cooperative called Rural Electricity Users Cooperative Society, where each of the projects that we have built, that cooperative society is currently working with the developers and ensuring that the facility continues to be maintained in partnership with the private sector developers. So just recently we were able to sign such agreements with a community in Cross River where they have continued the maintenance of that mini grid in partnership with the developer. In addition to that, you did mention private sector, and in projects where the private sector is operating, like for the Rural Electrification Fund or for the Nigeria Electrification Project through the performance-based grants, the private sector, because there's an expectation that the community would be paying for that power, remains throughout the life of the project. And with that being said, if the private sector has also made that kind of investment, they would usually ensure that the plan continues to run, because the operation of that plan would depend on the kind of cash inflow that they are having through payment of those tariffs.
Now, a lot of people will be wondering, all these projects, being done at rural areas, are they done for free, or are the benefactors or beneficiaries, are they paying for them?
Yes, so depending on how the project is structured, there are some that are delivered as an intervention by the federal government, for instance. And for that, what we emphasize is to ensure that we have a sustainability plan that would carry out that project. However, with projects that have been delivered through private sector financing, those projects are currently being paid for by the rural communities.
How affordable?
They are affordable in the sense that the consumption in rural communities, you find that is very, very low, because at some of your reports have shown most rural communities within a household would need a light bulb or a fan system. So you find out that their consumption is few watts of energy. So given that that is the case, and they are able to pay so that they also own some of the infrastructure with the solar home systems as well, so you do find that it's quite affordable for them to be able to pay.
Okay, we're talking energy transition here, so let's also go to this very important area. What role would you want to see or expect to see Nigerian youths play in this regard?
The Nigerian youth would play a very, very critical role here, and at the REA we've been able to launch some programs under the Rural Electrification Fund. We recently launched a research and innovation hub where we are inviting the Nigerian youth to come in and help the REA in doing research around understanding technologies to use for rural electrification. So for instance, there's a challenge on understanding how biomass can be used for electrification of rural areas, small hydros, and even the cold chains that you mentioned earlier. These are all things that we are engaging the youth on. And also with the energizing education program that we have, not only did we look at youth, we also looked at female engineers as part of the STEM program, where they participated in the development and construction of those power plants. And I'm happy to mention that after those plants have been built, what we're also finding is that some of these universities are actually employing the students that participated in that program, and they are currently part of the sustainability of the whole plan. So I think the youth would continue to play that role in terms of at least ensuring that we create the right opportunity for them and the right chances for them to continue to have employment in this sector.
We are not praying for it, but are there challenges?
There's definitely challenges, and I think one of the major challenges continues to be funding. As you have mentioned, the electricity gap is very, very wide. So currently we are working tirelessly to ensure that we have the required data that we need. So I think that is a second challenge to the funding. So we are continuing to identify where these unelectrified Nigerians are. We've been having support from various development partners to help us come up with a mapping, of where all these unelectrified Nigerians are. But however, at the REA and the Ministry of Power, we continue to try and validate, the data that we have. So in essence, if we continue to do that, we are continuing to now match that gap that we are seeing through these exercises to the funding that is coming in, both from the federal government, from the private sector, from the international development partners. So we want to continue to demonstrate that there is a need to continue funding this sector so that we are able to bridge the gap of electrification in the country.
Well, most of your projects at the moment are on phase 1, right?
Well, not
so. The question now, on the lips of many people, I guess, will be, when will you be able, to reach out across the rural areas there? Because we have many of them in Nigeria.
Yes, I think it's a Herculean task because, as you mentioned, there are quite a lot of unelectrified Nigerians as we speak. But I think there has been improvements as we continue to work within the sector, especially in improving the power infrastructure that we have, but given the growing population as well, is that even if you continue to cover them through the on-grid infrastructure that is currently being revamped and is currently growing, you find that more populations are propping up in also more unelectrified, more areas where continue to have this off-grid community. So I think for us, our work continues, and this is why, we have a slogan that will continue to power Nigeria one community at a time at the REA.
Finally, from us, Salihijo, most of your inventions and projects may not have the capacity of carrying things like iron and the rest of them, which of course could also be used at the rural areas. How sensitized are the beneficiaries of these projects towards that so that they don't damage these projects?
Yeah, so as part of the sustainability, there's a continuous advocacy for them to understand, so when the project is delivered, through the reuse I mentioned, there's continuous advocacy and sensitization for them to understand the capacity of the plant that they've been delivered and what can the plant take or not. But as I said to you earlier, because right now the technology is also growing, you do find solar home systems, especially that can take on, not ions per se, but more of this productive use appliances like sewing machines, like solar for irrigation. So there are various of those that have the high capacity to be able to be powered by these solar home systems. But in situations where there's a lack of that capacity, the technology does allow for some of those high consuming capacity items not to be able to go onto the system, because the breakers would be able to stop that from actually being powered by the mini grid. So the private developers put in that kind of technology to stop some of the high capacity equipment going onto it.
Thanks indeed for sharing your thoughts with us on Weekend File tonight, and we wish you good luck.
Thank you very much.
We'll be talking with the Managing Director, Rural Electrification Agency, Ahmad Salihijo. Of course, you're watching Weekend File. We do have time for one more break.
Detroit, our country can be as great as we want.
Let us all commit ourselves to its greatness.
We must be willing to set aside our differences, unite and stay as one.
In our expansive landmass, human and material resources, and plurality lies our strength.
Let our challenges lead us to rediscover our common ground, and together, let's find solutions.
This will take some time, so it requires patience, tolerance, and forgiveness from every one of us.
Let all hands come on deck to protect and transform our country.
Let us unite
and see each other not as adversaries, but as brothers and sisters.
Together, we can build a better Nigeria for ourselves and for the next generations.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA, with support from Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Welcome back. Let's now bring in Bade Adeleye on Sports Update.
Many thanks, Kenny. Nigeria's two medalists at the Tokyo Olympics returned to the country.